Rob, are you one of those guys that thinks a dress watch cannot have a complication? It has to be time only. It's got to be thin, got to be elegant, got to be on leather. Like, what's your definition of a dress piece?
Okay, so I am a traditionalist when
Okay.
it comes to things like that, to a point. My definition is it is a little bit smaller, but not small. Like, I'm okay at 40. 40 is the limit for me.
Okay.
Okay, I understand modern watches are bigger and things like that and whatever. So 40 is kind of like my threshold. I mean, you can get some 42 mil Mosers and different things, and they're dressier
Sure.
watches, but it's not to me a dress watch. Okay, so
It's an everyday watch that's kind of dressy.
yes, exactly, an office watch. That's a whole other tangent that I'm sure we'll talk about, but I consider those like office watches or whatever. But a true dress watch to me is 40 and under. Now, again, this is a little fluidish, but
Come on, talk in absolutes, will you?
2 hands,
Okay.
no numerals,
So no brigade
no brigade.
or some.
That again, that's where it's a little fluid.
Gotcha.
So the numerals again, that's a little. But if we're talking, imagine a Calatrava, okay?
Yeah.
2 hands, 36, maybe 35 to 40 precious metals and mechanical movement.
Sure.
That's to me a traditional old way of thinking. Now, where I slightly differ is I inject the steel. I'm okay with steel.
Yeah.
I think the popularity of the Nautilus and some of these others have clearly blown, any sort of perceived like it has to be gold to be special out of the water, right?
Yeah, a
Like,
number of
when
watches.
when you have 6-figure steel watches, you've proven that steel is just as valuable
Sure.
as a precious metal. So I think it can be steel.
Gotcha.
I'm okay with the seconds hand, but again, this is if we're talking just a traditional dress watch, it's a pretty limiting category.
So I would say that there's still watch collectors who love dress pieces or traditional dress pieces,
Yeah.
but they're fewer and further between. And I would say, for the most part, the dress watch category, it's on life support right now. I mean, people are buying sport watches, they're buying divers and GMTs and chronographs, or even if they have to dress up, they're getting by with a pretty office watch, as you called it, or like it can have complications as long as it's slightly more dressy. I think people call it a dress watch these days.
Yeah, and you know what? For the record, even though I just said that I am a traditionalist and that's what I view a dress watch as, I actually embrace people wearing whatever they want.
Yeah.
Right? Because if somebody spends $100,000 on their sub and they want to wear that with a tux, their mid-condition red sub,
Good for them.
Their single red Sea Dweller, whatever, do it.
Yeah.
You do it. Who cares?
Feel like James Bond.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Who cares? So I embrace that. I embrace people bucking the trend, but that still doesn't take away from what a dress watch is.
Yeah.
Just because you're not abiding by what a dress watch is, doesn't change the fact that that's, what you're wearing is not a dress watch.
Yeah.
It's a dressier watch.
I went on this kind of tangent a few years ago where I'm like, I don't own a dress watch. I have all these awesome sport watches. Let me find a dress watch. And I actually did a YouTube series where I called it Quest for a Dress Watch. And I was looking into Glashütte Original and Lange and Patek and like all these very traditional style dressy pieces. And at the end of the series, I ended up saying, well, I still want a sport watch that will do respectable duty as a dress piece.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why I bought that overseas a few years ago, because that was going to be my dressier piece. I could take it off that beautiful bracelet and slap on the alligator, and it's a Holy Trinity brand watch that I would wear dressed up. But it's a sports piece, right? It's an homage to the 222 from the 70s, which was a sports piece. So
yeah, I feel like if we want to talk dress watch, there is actual, kind of categories that you can put watches in and they follow certain criteria. but that doesn't mean that you have to wear that as your only option.
Yeah.
So even though I openly disagree with having a date on a dress watch, I would much rather have Roman numerals, Arabic numerals, any numeral over a date. That's like a big deal for me. So I don't know. People have their own ways of classifying it, and you get into these office watches, and if it works for you, it works.
You know, when I'm putting on a collared shirt or a sport coat, I'm usually wearing either my day date, or I'm wearing this moon phase Christopher Ward that has nothing, only an aventurine dial, no hands, no actually hands, yes. What I meant to say was no markers, and then this jumbo moon phase. So I kind of like going a little flashy when I dress up a bit, which I know is not a traditional dress watch, but it's just what I kind of gravitate toward.
Right. There is even an argument to be made for the dress watch to be no watch. Because if you're wearing a tux and you're going to a certain place like that, the true dress would be
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
And you better not be wearing an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, right?
Yeah.
Take that crap off.
Yeah, let's make sure that's like the one rule above all. You put on your suit, you put on your collared shirt, whatever. You have your silly little rubber, computer on there. That's ridiculous.
What about a pocket watch in that situation? Is that too hokey?
I think you look like a tool.
Well, I do that almost every day without trying.
And mind you, I don't have a problem with pocket watches, but I do think that you might as well.
You're at a black tie event and you see Bruce Williams pop out the pocket watch and flip it open, right?
I really
You're like, who the crap is that guy?
I feel like you're doing it to be like a whole spectacle thing, like you might as well wear a monocle, get the top hat. You might as well get suspenders and just go completely with every adornment possible. A little pinky ring.
Like a beaver fur hat and
Yes,
everything.
yeah, you better just go all the way if you're going to go that way. I don't know, unless the watch has personal significance, your grandpa's pocket watch, and you're getting married. Again.
So to you, is it, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
Is a dress piece more of a heirloom thing, like you get a family crest engraved type thing, or is it all about the simplicity and the elegance?
It's the simplicity, the elegance. That's why I was saying, to me, a traditional dress watch, you have two hands. You have no numbers. You have no seconds. You have no date. You have nothing. It's thin. It's supposed to be out of the way. It's supposed to be elegant.
It's supposed to blend into the background.
Exactly. It's very, very discreet. And the one time you would look at it would be, I don't even know, why you would need that in certain dress situations. So that's to me what it's about. If you're talking heirloom and all that and the engraving,
it could be any type of watch.
Exactly, right? Exactly. And that's why I think some of the dressier office type watches really do work, and you can add significance to those watches, and they can be serviceable in these dressy moments.
Are people just more casual these days? Are there less formal events? And is that lending to the demise of the traditional dress watch?
Yes, guaranteed. I mean, think about it.
It's not just style shift, it's culture shift to a degree.
It's the entire culture shift. Not only is it more casual, it's like infinitely more casual. I mean, there are people that don't go to work in anything but sweats at their house.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so yeah, you might put your Calatrava on with your gym shorts, and then your sport coat as you log in for the day or whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't leave your office at the house. You think about it. When was the last time, outside of a few major cities or whatever, insurance agents used to wear suits and things like that, and now they've got their State Farm Under Armour polo shirt, with their name or their agency engraved on it or embroidered. So it's like everybody's kind of just toned it down a little bit. So it's okay to have that 42 Moser Pioneer, on there type thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay to have a date. It's okay to have a moon phase or some of these other complications that traditionally wouldn't have been associated with a true dress watch.
So do you have a let's end with this, Rob, if you'd like. Do you have a Grail traditional dress piece, and what would it be? Or do you already own one that you really love?
No, I don't. I like you. I've been chasing them forever. I have tried. I've bought quartz versions. I've bought vintage. I've even been a part of a group that built a bespoke watch.
Yeah, the Lyrique,
right. And that was based off of Philippe Dufour's Simplicity, right? Yeah. A 7-figure watch. So I just don't know if I'll ever find what I'm looking for because I, like everybody else, don't dress up that often.
Yeah.
So I worry about investing a sizable portion of my collection into a piece that
you wouldn't use that much.
Right. So that's when I go, does it make sense? Sure. Would I love a Patek? I would love a Patek. I mean, we all would, right?
Oh yeah, I would
love some even Cellinis and things like that, right? Some traditional, whatever. There's a variety of different, some Vacherons and all this. Where I go in my current thinking is like more of an everyday dress watch, like a tank or some of these other things where it can dual.
It can do it. It can do it all.
Yes, that's kind of why I've mentioned in numerous videos Cartier still being at the top of my short list, because I'm a practical guy, shorts. Collared shirt, whatever. So that's where I'm like, hey, I could wear a tank with this. But if I get a suit on for a family function or whatever, I can put my tank on there.
I was gonna say the tank would be near the top of my list, and I would also add in one that one of our friends bought not too long ago, and it's fringe. It's like borderline dress piece, but it is the Breguet that Bruno bought.
Oh my goodness. That thing is unbelievable.
It's so beautiful. It is so beautiful.
Yeah, shout out to Bruno. That thing is out of this world.
Yeah.
Out of this world insane.
So I would say that's probably like the nicest dress watch that I would ever aspire to own. And they're fairly attainable for what they are, being precious metal and whatnot.
Yeah.
Price-wise, at least, if you go used. But it's still hard to drop that amount on a watch that you don't wear that often.
Right, and that's what, because if we're getting into the mid 5 figures, or I guess not mid, but just above 5 figures.
Yeah.
Like
15,
let's
say.
Exactly, 15 to 20. Like, there's a lot of amazing stuff out there. But that's where I go, do I want to have that allocated in the watch box for something that I may not wear as much as I want to wear? So that's when I go, well, why don't I take that down a lot and go to a tank? I can get a Tank Louis in solid gold for under 10.
Oh yeah,
all day long.
Yeah,
all day long.
And you could choose from vintage to modern or
exactly.
neo vintage.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's all sorts of different. So if I don't want the Tank Louis, there's every shape under the sun. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go with that tank.
Yeah. We're similar. I love the tank too, and it sounds
it's just hard to beat. I mean, it's an icon for a reason. You don't have a watch that's minimally changed over 100 years.
Yeah.
You don't do that without it being something significant.
I agree.
Movie stars, presidents, everything in between. It is what it is for a reason.